Hi, I'm Anika, and today I'll be taking you through a new painting. This is an idea I've kind of developed over the last few weeks and kind of been up there, so let's see how it comes out today. I just want to roughly sketch out I kind of tried to draw from memory and then had to turn it upside down. Right, so I'm ready to get in there with paint for this one now. So I'm just thinking, because it's a mostly green painting, trying this thing where I'm using a bit of colour theory. So I am going to try go for a red underpainting. Let's see how that comes out. Then maybe I want a bit of blue as well, because I feel like there's a lot of orange in there. Then, quite literally, I might actually put a bit of orange in there too. So where I've got the sky, I think that might look quite good. Okay, here we go. Right, so my first thing is I want to go with my round brush, my little round brush. Get a bit of water on my brush as well. And I'm first just going to start with that outline. So, I don't know, again, the kind of messy, squiggly lines, or a kind of woodland area. So, it's not exactly a very neat boundary line. So, just getting a bit of that on there. Great, getting paint on my laptop. Just keeping these marks nice and loose. Not really going for detail yet, just kind of, I guess, blocking in. Well, first going for the outline and then I will block in a bit more colour. Quite excited to see how this turns out. I can't say I've ever painted this kind of scene using a bit of colour theory. Okay. Just feels like quite a fun way to paint though as well. Okay, now I might switch to my flat brush soon, just to try get some bigger areas filled in before I move on to my other colours. This really does feel like the unmarked path, this painting, as I don't have a clue how it's going to turn out. And I've got a variation of how I'm getting, so I'm also varying how I'm getting the paint on there. In some places it's a little thicker, in some places it's lighter. So we'll see how that turns out. So there's a little bit of green at the bottom because we've got some grass kind of poking through the leaves. I guess very lightly dry, almost dry brushing under there to just pick up a bit of that. And I feel like that is it for red for the moment. Yeah. Going back to my picture then. I kind of want to have a bit of an orange sky going on. So that'll be my next. Yeah. Okay, so just thinking about right, so almost blocking in that entire section, which will be blue, and then just to think about through the trees, there is a bit of, you can see a little bit of blue around. But as brown isn't really on the colour wheel, but its closest colour is really orange. So now what I want to do is, I guess, where I've got my brown, just really get a nice bit of blue going there. I think where I've got my brown in the leaves as well, I want to try get a bit of those in there, get a bit of blue in there. And then, so I'm just kind of dabbing the colour around. What I would like to do next, just still following this colour theory. It's quite expressive, doesn't it? It's like I can almost just leave it like that. But what I'd like to do next is try to paint in some of these branches that are coming across. Capture as many of the branches as I can without kind of overpowering any other part. Just try and capture how those branches kind of creep across. Varying brush strokes as well. Sometimes the paint's a little thicker, sometimes it's a little down. Just every branch is going to look different. Capture that. Okay, I'm going to give that a few minutes. Now I think that has dried a little bit, we can get on with the next part, which I'm really excited to do. I do think actually I needed a bit more blue in here as well. I'm just going to add that in quick. Okay. And now I'm ready to go over my colours. Do I want to start with the green? Do you know what? I might go with my brown and just maybe get the detail in of those branches, because I think I can go over that then afterwards with the green, get the kind of leaves building over the top of those branches. Right, so my first bit is I'm going to cover the blue. Now here's a bit of brown. So wherever I've got those branches reaching out and kind of twisting up, and it now just adds a little depth to that brown. So just covering all of those branches, and that's really starting to build out now, isn't it? So I'm just going over those blue bits I've got there, just putting on the bones now, I guess, isn't it? And just repeating on the other side, going over those branches and adding a few new ones in. But I might switch to a slightly thinner brush for that. This size is quite good for getting the thicker branches in. Okay, trying to get in a bit more of these little branches down here. Okay, while I let that dry a little bit, I'm just going to start roughly going over my pathway as well. So I think if I just make this a bit of a wash over there, because again I'll be adding in all the different colours you get with leaves, like the oranges, still a bit of green in there. I'll be going over this. I just kind of want the underneath to be a bit of blue. Sorry, a bit of brown underneath. So now that is getting a little bit thin, I've just got a bit more paint on my brush. Again, a mixture of kind of loose marks and then a bit of dry brushing, but just keeping it all really light overall. Okay, so I am just continuing on with building up the brown, covering up those bits of blue. I'm finding that using a kind of stronger colour, less water, works really well. And it's really adding depth, as opposed to just kind of painting straight on there with brown. Okay, so I think I'm kind of done with my pathway there. They are going into the sky a little bit, but in my picture they are kind of leaning over. I am going with definitely a thicker consistency there. I'm not watering down my paint for this bit. I want to kind of make my branches darker. Add in a couple of branches coming off. So just even here, this is all going to be covered by leaves, but I think I'd like some of the branches to be showing through. So I am making sure that in some places the branches are a little bit darker. I don't want them to be fully covered up by anything. I feel like I could work on the branches for a long time. There really is, you know, there is just so many. But I think I'm capturing the essence of how that looks underneath. Just some of the branches peeking through. Trying to add in lots of little ones there. And I'm still going back to my picture for reference, but kind of also going with the flow. And I'm really liking how that's come out. There is something about painting nature, it's just so relaxing. Focusing on colours, on movement. As I was going on this walk when I took this picture, I was noticing the leaves falling. It's beautiful. All right, I think I am about ready for my green to go on there. Because yeah, I think I'm gonna layer some yellow on top. All right, where do I wanna kind of start? I'm just gonna start, I guess kind of cover that red would be great. But I think that is gonna happen as I build up my marks. I'm just kind of thinking about the bits of green that are underneath some of the leaves. So I might actually end up going back over with a bit of brown. This is the great thing about acrylics. You can really build up your marks, your layers, and just make sure you let it dry in between. And it does actually dry very quickly. My red is definitely dry there, and I'm gonna try to add in some different shades of green, but I'm just trying to get that first layer going. Quite liking that already. It's such a peaceful painting. Okay, so now I'd like to, and I'm trying to focus on the red, leaving out those spots of blue, because I will be coming back to cover those with orange later. You can really see the difference between the green when it's on the blank canvas on the white compared to when it's over the red. I am now thinking I might pause my green just because I would like to get my blue sky going first. So have I got a bit of white? Just gonna get a bit of white and do a light wash over that yellow, the orange, just to see how that comes up. I'm quite excited about that. That will be a really nice effect. So the kind of blue I've got, it's quite a light blue, obviously it's the sky. So just mixing a bit of my ultramarine blue with a lot of white. Okay, right, next I've got my desired shade there, but I'm adding a lot of water to that because I really just want to wash over the sky. So I'm going to try to avoid the branches as much as I can, but if I do end up going over it, it's not the end of the world. My main thing is I'd really like to cover all of that orangey yellow if I can. Gosh, it's just been a real play with colours this entire session. It's quite fun and just freeing and expressive. I have really gone over my branches, but those ones are very dry, so that's okay. This really has been experimenting, seeing what works, and that's what art should be about. Just no rules. Just seeing what you enjoy using and what you don't, what looks nice, even however it makes you feel. I might have to give this a little bit more time to dry before I try to do anything else to it. I mean, one thing I could potentially do is painting some of my leaves at the bottom. I think this is really going to be a layered piece, a real layered piece. Gosh, so nice though to really just take so much time and really enjoy what goes into creating art. But I mean, again, it's building up the layers, which I'm quite happy with. And I think it's going to look really nice to go back into that brown again afterwards. Okay, I'm going to pop back down to the bottom of the painting again. This is why it's good to have a couple of the same brushes, you know. So while you're between different sections of your painting, you can still go and add bits. So I have now got I think I want to make this a little orangey, a little bit more orange. So I've added a bit more red to that. Okay, it's looking quite orange. Again, it's just all about building up the layers. So with this one, I'm kind of having a look at any places I've still got a bit of blue peeking through as well, and trying to focus on that. See how the top's doing? So that blue is nice. Well, I have kind of covered my branches a little bit, but I can still see where they are. I just really like to cover the yellow there. I would like to get in there with a bit of green, I think, next, and really start to cover those red areas that I said I wanted with the green. That is getting into the blue a little bit. I might leave that out a little while. But anyway, in these bits, I am just looking for where I first put very strong red tones down and kind of cover those. Not worrying too much about gaps, leaving out the blue bits because I'll be going over those with orange. But I'm going to do the same. I'm going to make a darker green, I'm going to make a lighter green. I'm actually using a bit more of a thicker paint now. I have not watered this down at all, but this is where I'm going in with my actual leaves. Right, I think I might be ready for another type of green. You can really just lose yourself in the repetitive strokes when you're painting. It's very calming. I think I am ready to get a bit of leaves up here. So it's almost like that blue sky is just poking through those leaves. You know, even the brown going over the red has really come out nicely too. I'm just loving the variation in marks. Right, I need a little bit more green. I'm going to try adding a bit of brown to this. Get a bit of a darker green without going for black. Yeah, I really like that. Even when I go for my lighter leaves, I think I'm going to go with a yellow to mix up instead. Already I really like that green. I could go with a slightly bit more brown in there. I kind of also think this is the moment where I need to give it a few minutes to breathe. But I'm going to go over those the blue bits, just since those are dry. I probably am getting a bit of the green mixed in there, but hey, it looks great. It's coming out nicely. I think I can go back down to the bottom of the painting again, and just go in with that darker brown, the darker green. So you can see I've mixed in a bit of brown, a bit of green. It's just made this lovely dark green. And it's not as harsh as adding black to it. A bit easier to control. It's kind of like a khaki that I've got here now. So now I am gonna again try to focus on those bits. And I'm getting the same effect here. So in the places, the white kind of gaps I've left, it is coming out quite nice there. Sometimes you do need to turn your painting slightly, just to work on another edge. I am gonna mix up my brush strokes a little as well. Try to do some of those big swirling kind of ones I was doing before as well. Careful to not cover too much of the other bits, the other colours. Kind of finding dabbing is a bit easier than any kind of swooping brush strokes. I am leaving some of the red there, just because I'd like to go over with a few more shades of green. So mix of brush strokes, sometimes I'm dabbing, sometimes I'm swooping. I would like to cover the majority of that red. I do feel like I want to make more of this green and then add a little bit of white to it, because I think that is actually going to come out really nice. Yeah, I'm liking that idea. And they're varying kind of levels of pressure and splodges of paint. So where my other green has dried, it's really nice going over the top of that. So I don't think I have much more red to cover here. But I think this is going to be nice to build up a bit of another shade of green now. Now I would like to get a bit of white and get a different green going again. Maybe a couple. I'm gonna mix that with my brownie greeny. It's probably gonna be quite pastel-y maybe. Kind of lost track of my picture. And just going with the flow. Doing whatever feels nice. Again, really now trying my hardest to cover that red, but it's just built up such different depths of colour. I love it. I do want a yellowy green because it's almost like in the distance the grass here is quite light, so that's the kind of colour I'll be going with next. Now I'm just trying to fill some gaps with this other type of green. Almost a bit olivey, and it's quite nice. So trying to make sure there's an even amount of all the colours everywhere. I don't want to focus on one side of the painting too much. Right, now I really would like a darker green again. Now I think is the time to add in a little bit of black, but a very tiny amount. And I think almost even, oh, another break. No, I might just change the part of the picture that I'm focusing on. So I would like to make a nice little orange there, just mixing up that yellow ochre with a bit of red, adding in a little white, and going for I think a bit of a dabbing effect again. I think what might work here is dabbing in a bit of brown again, perhaps. I don't know. Hey, now I'm just dabbing a lot here. Next, I'm mixing a little green and yellow ochre. Just get another variation of green up there so I can build in. I love that already as well. And where it's kind of mixing, I've got green and yellow ochre on my paintbrush now. I am getting some very nice colours. You know, no one leaf is the same colour, is it? So it's just almost like a bit of green and a bit of yellow ochre. Building up that pathway, kind of, right? Oh wow. Just loving all that colour built up there. Still going back and trying to find those spots of red now and just covering those up. And again, just kind of a little mix of colours on my brush there, aren't they? But I absolutely love that colour. I love it for what I'm trying to achieve here. Very autumn. Okay, now I kind of do really want to think about bringing in a bit of realism, I guess, you know, thinking about where the darker areas are in this picture and maybe bringing that out. So I mean, like here, if I can get a bit of black, make a nice darker green here again. And I really just like to play with the colours on my palette. There is no right or wrong. This is how my palette ends up looking. I barely wash my brushes in between. But yeah, I just feel like you get that sort of freedom with working like this. I did an art class and my teacher was not impressed by my palette, my brushes. I want to feel free when I'm painting. So now I am really trying to focus on, okay, where are those dark areas here? Which is kind of all around here. Just adding a little depth here to these. A bit of dark here, a bit of dark under there. Like a bit of dark in there. Yeah, I would like to go back in here with my brown. So I'm making sure I don't cover too much green. But this is also a nice kind of point to cover up any of those bits of red that's still peeking out, because then it just looks like it's a branch. I do need to turn this way from me, but I'm going back into the sky just to explain what I'm doing. I mean, I still want that to show up, but it's just where the blue, where it's over the sky, you can kind of see it peeking through. I do really want to make sure you can see those ones. I feel like my final now is I just want to really dry brush in some clouds. And that's gonna really sort the sky out. Because right now you've got lots of yellow peeking through. Yep, I just want a bit of white here. Oops. Gosh, I am starting to paint green now everywhere. I might leave it at that. And at least if I do come back to it, it will be another layer of something. But I could just keep adding to the leaves. I really could. Right. And there is my unmarked part.